The biggest game, at least going into week 2, was, of course, the Texas-Alabama rematch. Last year, as you know, it was 20-19, a very close game, a closer than expected game when they played in Austin. This year, it was in Tuscaloosa. One member, at least, of the broadcasting duo here had the foresight, the knowledge, the fortitude
Yeah.
to pick Texas outright. And indeed, the Longhorns went on the road and pulled a massive upset. Only a 7.5-point road dog. So, at least in the eyes of Vegas, maybe not the steepest underdog that we saw throughout the course of week 2, but pretty significant. Alabama had a home winning streak. To go on the road to knock off Nick Saban, it's not
Sure.
something his former assistants have been all that good at. Not
No.
something anybody's been all that good at. That's why
No.
34-24 was so significant, Dan. I know this game was going on at the same time that your Oregon Ducks were fighting for their lives against Texas Tech, but
Sure.
what were your takeaways here? Because this is a hell of a game.
First of all, my takeaway is the disrespect you have for Utah fans. What about us? We went to Texas and played a significant. I mean, good for Utah too. Okay, so before I get too far afield, the takeaway from this game is I have long been, maybe skeptic is too hard a word, too hard a term, of Quinn Ewers, because, and they actually have the graphic in this game that Quinn Ewers was like 128th out of 135 eligible quarterbacks in terms of accuracy downfield on throws of over 20 yards. That number might be bumping up, Ty.
Yeah.
That number might
Yeah.
be bumping up based on at least 2 incredible dimes of throws. I think the first of which was to Xavier Worthy. Didn't step into the throw, feet planted, I think, on his own 49, and just a beautiful arc that ended up in Xavier Worthy's hands in the opposite end zone. So whatever it was, 55 yards, just without moving. Not too shabby. The takeaway here is this was a close game. This was a game that great teams win. It was a game that a team like Texas found multiple ways to win, in that they were able to survive certain elements of the Alabama offense. They were able to survive the better plays from Jalen Milroe, and they were also able to take advantage of the lesser plays from Jalen Milroe, take advantage of opportunities, which is what very, very good, if not great teams do. Texas, I am not going to make any sort of proclamation. I know you are
Come
tingling.
on.
I
Come
know you
on,
are.
do it.
I want to appreciate Texas. I don't want to talk about the future. I don't want to talk about. I'm not here to talk about the future. I'm Rafael Palmeiro in talking
You're Mark
about,
McGuire.
or McGuire, excuse me.
Sir.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there was something with Rafi in that conversation. But what Texas was able to do, what Quinn Ewers specifically was able to do, was so damn impressive. What Sark was able to do in terms of putting together a game plan. And this was a close game for
Yeah.
basically the entirety of this matchup in Tuscaloosa. The big, I guess, picture beyond Texas looking like the team that has fortitude that they've always wanted to be is everybody's just trying to survive Jalen Milroe and the Jalen Milroe experience. At times, Texas was not surviving it. He was making incredible plays, bringing this Alabama team back. And at other times, he was throwing the ball directly to players wearing white and burnt orange.
Yeah.
And so it was an uncharacteristically sloppy and raw and arrhythmic performance from Alabama on both sides of the ball. And Quinn Ewers has earned a new fan in me because of what he was able to do in terms of changing the tenor of this game with his arm.
Well, look, this was the game of the day. It was the game of the day when we previewed the day, and
Yeah.
it ended up actually being the game of the day, which is not something we say all that often. Bama giving up over 450 yards at home is significant, and I think that says a lot about the Texas offense. We liked where Texas was at from a talent standpoint with its skill positions. We liked
Yeah.
where Texas was at least going into the season. Maybe not so much last week, but in general, where Texas's offensive line was at going into the season. I think they stepped up and they gave Quinn Ewers enough time to work the ball down the field. And of course, Quinn Ewers, almost 350, 3 touchdowns on the day. Some of those moonshots that he threw with precision accuracy were damn near incredible.
Yeah.
And the fact that now they've got the weaponry out wide, the weaponry across the board to deliver this type of punch on the offensive side in a consistent way on the road again against Alabama, that to me is really notable. Now, that does not mean they won't lose to a team like TCU. That's sort of been the deal with Texas throughout these I don't know, last couple seasons where we joke about
Couple?
Texas being back. Yeah, I know. I'm
It's been
trying to be
about a
generous.
dozen years of
I'm
largely
trying to be
losing to
generous,
TCU. Yeah.
but this is a big win. This is a big monkey to get off their backs,
Yeah.
and I give them a lot of credit. On the Alabama side, look, Jalen Milroe is a starting. Jalen Milroe can run like the wind. He can throw dimes deep down the field.
Yes.
It's the short to intermediate stuff that sometimes he can be really good at.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like you said, sometimes he's throwing dimes. Other times he's throwing it directly to an opponent. And how that develops over the course of the season, I think, is going to dictate what Alabama does moving forward.
Yeah, and sometimes he is rolling out, bringing in a safety who's going to try and close him out, and like kind of last second pops it over that safety's helmet. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, and that's a tough watch if you're an Alabama fan, used to the quarterbacks you're used to throwing in rhythm, right? Throwing on time like you're used to from Tua and Mac Jones and Jalen Hurts, guys like that, the best of those guys. It just Jalen Milroe's just he's a more raw quarterback in this.
There were a lot of comparisons before this game and before this season to
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, based on what I saw today and based on what I think we've seen just in the limited time that we've seen Jalen Milroe out there, is not the passer of Jalen Hurts. He's just not. And he could get there, but in very limited action, he's not there yet. And a hell of a runner, can run like the wind. But Bama just 5 of 14 on third downs. Bama also had a lot of penalties here, uncharacteristically so, 10 penalties.
Sure.
So I give credit to Texas. I give credit to Sark. This is a really big win. Of course, the pressure will be amped up to 1,000,000 now in the state of Texas. But Texas with the win.
By the way,
24, big deal.
In the department of Maryland does two things, crab cakes and football. A.D. Mitchell does two things, appear to be doubtful on an injury list and score touchdowns. I saw something like 10 of his 44 career catches go for touchdowns. That's a pretty nice percentage. So yeah, A.D. Mitchell, obviously gravitational in a way, taking, between Jatavian Sanders and Xavier Worthy and hopefully an emerging rushing attack this year, certainly takes a lot of attention away, and you can't, focus a defense on Xavier Worthy as that lone option. So Texas looking more dangerous by the day and looking closer to fulfilling your playoff expectations.
Okay, I still can't believe I did that. I hate myself for it.
They're over what we think is the tallest hurdle in the moment. So that's
what we think. But getting over the other ones is really where the Texas's back meme has made its hey, you got to beat the Iowa States of the world. We'll see. We'll see. But this is a good first step in week 2.